Good day. We're talking about the Port of Delaware now. If you just nodded and thought, great, another infrastructure story, stick with me because this isn't just about shipping containers and cranes. It's about the economy. It's about jobs and it's about governance. And right now, it's about a power struggle between Delaware's executive and legislative branches that could have major implications for how this port and this state moves forward. The Port of Wilmington is one of the busiest on the East Coast, moving everything from fresh produce to petroleum. It employs thousands and injects billions into the local economy. But like all major economic engines, it needs investment, strategic leadership, and the right policies in place to ensure long-term success. The previous governor, Bethany Hall-Long, submitted appointees that Governor Meyer has sought to withdraw. So what's really at stake? Is this about ensuring independent oversight and keeping politics out of the port operations? Or is this a sign of growing tensions between Meyer's administration and the legislature? And more importantly, how does all of this impact Delawareans who depend on the port for jobs and economic stability? To help us break this down, I'm joined by Senator Bryan Townsend, who is leading the legislative push for change, and Mr. Bill Ashe, a man who knows what's happening beyond the committee rooms and press releases, someone who's seen firsthand how these deals impact workers, businesses, and communities. It's a big conversation, everyone, and it's a big issue. Let's get to it. Senator Townsend, Mr. Ashe, welcome to the agenda. Hello, Mr. Ashe, Senator Townsend, welcome to the agenda. We are excited to have you both here. I know, Mr. Ashe, you are a first timer.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Very comfortable.
Good, good. Mr. Senator Townsend, how are you? Welcome back. It hasn't been that long.
Has not been that long. Thank you for having me.
No problem. We must be doing something right. So we are here today to talk, and I'm honestly, I mean, so many people want to know about what's going on with the port. I have learned that you can't always trust the media, and I'm part of the media because perception and understanding and things get twisted. So it's always better to bring the people who are in the mix to the forefront so they can speak their case.
Yes.
Okay. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for those that have questions in order to speak the case. Please tell us a little bit about what's going on. I've seen numbers of $600 million. I've seen $199 million. I mean, so many of these other things that are going on. What's the truth? What's going on down there?
Well, right now we're waiting on the Corps of Engineers to get these permits that a federal judge in southern Pennsylvania stopped us from breaking ground, I would say in December. So once the Corps, to my knowledge, get these permit signed, hopefully we'll break ground, but we don't see that because there's still a lot of questions to ask if a group out of Pennsylvania, along with the Port Authority in Pennsylvania, is gonna file another lawsuit to stop Delaware from growing. This is all about the state of Delaware. And it's strange that a group from Pennsylvania technically stopped Delaware from breaking ground on a port in Edgemoor. And it's about creating jobs, when I say thousands, anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 jobs, people making money to take care of a family, a sustaining family. I don't mean just peanuts. I mean a good wage for people to take care of their family. And this is the problem we got right now. We don't know, and this is just my opinion, I don't think this governor will follow through on it.
What part do you believe that he won't follow through on, just to be clear?
Well, let's do a little history.
Okay.
Before it ever got to this point, he told me right to my face that I was living a pipe dream, that this would never happen. And I don't have to sugarcoat this. And that's why I asked one of his staff members that met me for breakfast, and I had one of my members with me, because I always take someone with me.
Right.
that I said, why haven't the governor reached out? Once he knew he was going to be the governor, why didn't he reach out to the ILA like he did Amazon, like he did every other company in the state of Delaware? He's yet to talk to me to this day. Mm-hmm. And I'm the president of the ILA here, and also an international vice president who I travel from Maine to Texas, settling problems in every state. Mm-hmm. But yet and still my own governor hasn't reached out to talk to me about the Port of Wilmington.
And has it always been a problem in communication with I mean, I can't believe that he doesn't want to talk to you. I mean, you have, I would say, pretty much direct access to the governor as far as communication goes in regards to this issue, Senator Townsend. I honestly, I find it hard to believe that our governor won't want to talk to a union leader.
Well, what I'd say, I think part of the challenge here is that we're talking about a port expansion project in the Edgemoor area that will be transformational for decades and decades and decades to come.
Yes.
Put people to work, don't have to have a college degree. You can earn $150,000, $200,000. You could have had a bit of a checkered past and try to right your ship, so to speak, and earn $150,000 to $200,000, second chances. It's amazing that puts food on the table, that puts kids in college, that puts houses and mortgages. That's game changing.
It's a win.
It's a huge win for everybody, and it's a critical project. And I think what we're seeing is that this project's been underway for basically almost 13 years now. When I first got elected to the Senate in 2012, one of the first votes I took in January 2013 was to stop efforts at privatizing the Port of Wilmington. Mm-hmm. From that came conversations about how to actually expand. Mm-hmm. How to grow the infrastructure project, not just the existing port, mm-hmm. which is a key topic, right. but then expanding up into Edgemoor so that right. deep water ships can come, these big container ships can come and unload cargo here. So Delaware is the first port on the river. Great opportunity for us to be able to expand in that way. And I think what you see now is Governor Meyer has basically taken the approach of, now that he's in, he wants to kind of like pause, take a look at it. And part of the challenge is, 4 governors in a row now have been involved in this project. Mm-hmm. It is ready to go. Other than, as Ashe had said, other than a court in district court in Philadelphia, federal court in Philadelphia, other than them stopping the permits, once those permits are reissued, we're ready to go. Mm-hmm. So this project's been moving along. The legislature's invested money. Governor Carney invested money. That's the $195 million you talked about. Mm-hmm. This thing is ready to go. And we want to work with Governor Meyer to effectuate that. We want him to be the governor who gets to cut the ribbon on this generations transformation project. Mm. So we got to find a way to try to get on board together to do that.
Do you think he's maybe a little pensive because of the blitz to assign members to the committee? I mean, there was a brief period where I guess we can say former Governor Bethany Hall Long kind of assigned names in a short tenure, but that was such an important decision that should be made by I would think the person who really won the election should be able to make that decision, and it seemed as though there was a tush push, so to speak, to get these people onto the committee.
Well, you and I are Eagles fans.
Yes.
You say tush push, I'm feeling good about it. Ashe turns out is a Commanders fan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They had a problem with the tush push,
turns
didn't
out
they?
Ashe is not perfect.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a legal problem.
But yeah, I don't. You bring up a good point, right? I mean, Governor Hall Long sent for 5 nominees, mm-hmm. 5 appointees. Really, turns out, legally speaking, they're appointees. Ashe is one of them. A fantastic slate of individuals mm-hmm. who would be great on the board at this time when we're waiting for that permit to be reissued, and then put the shovels in the ground and build this thing and put thousands and thousands and thousands of Delawareans to work immediately on construction and long-term at the port. So there's no doubt it's an important role to play to select these appointees. Governor Hall Long did so. Governor Meyer sought to withdraw them. The Senate thought, well, we're not sure the legality of that. We didn't think a governor could withdraw appointees, even if another governor had been the one to send the names. So we've asked the Supreme Court to rule on that. We just actually had oral arguments 2 days ago. So in the next couple of weeks, we believe the Supreme Court will clarify whether or not Governor Meyer has the legal authority to pull back the names that Governor Hall Long had sent. The Senate wants to get it right, and I know ILA and Ashe want to get it right.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So the issue is not that it's not about who nominates. In the Senate, we've been saying it's not whose name's on the front of the appointment letter. Mm-hmm. It's whose name is the appointee. that matters. So when you have Ashe and others who'd be fantastic, we just want to get down to business here. We want to get this project going. And if Governor Meyer is part of that, that's great. But you know, we've seen different things where an audit now has been initiated on the idea that $195 million were transferred sort of in secret. This all happened publicly. May 2024, the legislature and Governor Carney announced an investment of $195 million in the port expansion. December 2024, January 2025, open board meetings at the port saying this money is for the project and openly saying we're going to transfer the money now to bind us to the agreement that we've entered into with the port operator.
But all that happened in the 2-week stint of Bethany Hall.
The final transfer happened.
Right.
No, the announcement of the $195 million was
before her.
May 2024, Governor Carney.
But then this money got rushed in during her term along with the appointees.
Then they spent the summer, fall negotiating the agreement with the port operator, signed the agreement, I think in November, December 2024, and then the transfer of the money was to finalize that agreement. So again, this all started Governor Markell, Governor Carney, Governor Hall Long, now Governor Meyer. This effort has spanned lots of governors.
Why is it taking so long?
Here's one of the reasons why that it took so long. And first you got to convince people that this is the right thing to do. We tried, when I say we, the ILA showed Governor Markell. At that time, Jeff Bullock was the Secretary of State, and we had meetings, and I showed Jeff, I said, you take your people, do the numbers. This was work. The Port of Wilmington, then Governor Carney came along. So they started the process. Jeff Steele's the Secretary of State. We had to get permits. It took the Corps almost 4.5 to 5 years to give the permits, the federal permits, just to get this done.
And this is all about depth, right? Isn't this what the permits are for? Or isn't it?
It's the depth, the turning base, and everything that goes, because you got to have a turning base.
Right.
At Edgemore, which everything has been approved by the Corps of Engineers. Then we get the lawsuit. And the lawsuit was because a group in Philadelphia, which is our competitors, and I'm gonna be careful not to use names because I don't want a lawsuit coming back. But here's what you gotta do. Any way you can to stop Wilmington or the state of Delaware from growing is what this is about. Because if you look at, do your own study, do your own homework. The Delaware River is 1.5 miles wide. A turning base of a ship is 1,400 feet.
And they don't turn on a dime.
No, but guess what? With that turning base, it's not gonna stop that channel from doing anything. It's not gonna stop a ship, because right now, when they turn into the Port of Wilmington, there's a turning base right there. Ships still go up and down the channel. So that whole myth was nothing but the Corps had to get certain language straightened out to be able to go forward. This whole thing is about stopping Wilmington becoming a major hub on the East Coast. The Port of Wilmington is 100 years old, and I'll tell everybody, if you're not careful, how long is it gonna last before the Port of Wilmington start to sinking into Christiana? Now, right now we got anywhere from 1,600 to 2,000 that works out of my local every day. Where do these people go and work at? Because once that port is closed, because we had almost a catastrophe a couple of years ago, where we actually had an engineer group to come in from New York, actually help pour cement on the Christiana River on the port to keep it open. There is nothing but old wood underneath the Port of Wilmington. It's not gonna last forever. And if we don't get a new port, we get left behind, because Baltimore right now is building a new terminal that for $1 billion.
Probably with some of the money left over from the bridge.
Well, it's just federal money that they got. Everybody can say what they want. Biden ended up giving us close to $200 million. So we have the money. It's not gonna cost the state any more money. What is the major problem that once we get these permits? And I don't have anything personal against the governor. I wish he would come along and just see what the vision that we see and move forward.
I know the governor had problems with unions during the election. I know that there were issues down at the port. It wasn't exactly teddy bears and sunsets. It was an issue, and I know that's one that he's faced throughout his campaign and whatever. Can we put those things aside? Can those, for the sake of Delawareans, for the sake of generational wealth, for the sake of opportunities, the people that have those checkered past, that won't have those opportunities to make those salaries, to buy those homes, to spend those monies in Delaware communities, what needs to be done to build this bridge for lack of a better term, to get this done?
There is no problem with me sitting down, shaking the governor's hand, talking to the governor, doing whatever, long as we can move forward. Once the Corps get this done, we should have shovels in the ground the very next day. I don't hold grudges, because all grudges do is tear you up inside.
They're expensive.
Yes,
they're very,
much so.
very expensive.
Yeah. So,
and to your point, Corey, they hurt Delawareans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to get this right. I mean, what the opportunities this will provide Delawareans for generations to come cannot be overstated. So we got to get it right. The Army Corps permits were invalidated by a federal judge in Pennsylvania. They're reworking the permits, issue them, get shovels in the ground, build this. Ashe had talked about we expect that the Philadelphia port would maybe file another lawsuit and try to stop Delaware from becoming the first port on the river that can handle the big container ships.
Right.
So we got to get this right. Locally, we got to get it right. We got to engage communities and have people see the win-win-win-win-win that can come from this working out. And so I like to think the governor coming in, it's a major project. You know, he wants to get it right. That's fine. But let's get it right together, and let's understand that this project did not appear out of thin air. This has been going on for a long time. The $195 million was previously appropriated by a General Assembly, supported by the previous governor. That was all, above board, all public. The transfer announced in a public meeting. This isn't a transparency issue. This is it's time to get this right, put shovels in the ground as soon as we can, and build this port.
So if the governor, has he given you any, and I'm asking not only as a host, but as a constituent in the state of Delaware that wants to see this happen. I, Kerwin Gaines, want to see this port happen. I want to be the biggest on the East Coast. I do. Maybe it's just a thing I have, but I want to see that happen. Was there anything about the appointees, even though that they came in that kind of a blitz, but is there any problems with the appointees? Like, what would they say is the issue?
Well, I mean, I think on our side of it, they made very clear that they wanted to be the ones to send the appointees' names and not Governor Hall Long. Okay. Again, the Senate doesn't care who sends the names. We care who the names are.
Right.
Right. Good people. Ashe is great people. The slate was great people. So it's important to get good people nominated on the board to have formal terms. Right now, the board, everyone's terms expired, and they're kind of serving until people are re-upped or new people come in. We want to have all that in place so that when permits are issued, you got a board who's all been appointed, new terms, and ready to rock and roll.
Right.
So right now, you've got the Supreme Court going to indicate whether or not they think that the governor had the authority to pull the names back or not. Okay? If he had the authority to pull them back, the names are pulled back. We kindly ask that he send names. We've already asked that. It's like, send the names. And if it turns out, though, that he didn't have the authority to pull them back, then the Senate can decide whether or not to go ahead and vote to confirm the names of appointees who are fantastic, extremely qualified, and committed to port expansion. So that's just the biggest thing.
And already confirmed by the legislature.
Well, we haven't done that yet. We paused. We waited to say, you know what? Let's wait and see what the court says.
You wouldn't have brought those names together, I know, as a politician, unless you felt as though those names would be approved.
Oh, sure. Right. Well, Governor Hall Long sent the names.
Right.
But when we saw the names, it's like, these would be fantastic.
Right.
And in fact, I can't speak for him, but I think Governor Meyer's team seemed to think some of them would be fantastic too, because they met with them and asked them to join their slate.
Yeah. And when Governor Myers had one of his reps meet with me, I said, well, here's what I asked of the governor. Let all 5 of the names that were submitted be on this, and I got no problem with it. And I can't guarantee that. I said, what you mean you can't guarantee it? Most of these people I know are either labor or somebody that has an idea of what a port. To me, they're all good candidates that know about how to build a port. And economically, it's feasible to help the state of Delaware move forward. Are we trying to help Delawareans, or are we worried about sooner or later? My biggest fear is if I lose 1,600 people, we end up with a Chrysler or a GM again. People don't have jobs and a tax base leaves the state. That's my biggest fear.
We can't lose anything else.
Well,
we can't. I'm just telling you, Mr. Ashe. Damn it, we can't lose anything else.
I agree with you, but guess what? A lot of other people outside of this state hope that we lose it, because guess who benefits from it?
Right.
It's not Delawareans. And I got 1,600 people that I put to work on a regular basis. We lose those 1,600 jobs, where are they gonna go?
These are $150,000 a year jobs.
Yeah, they take care of their homes, they pay a mortgage, they're sending kids to college. I'm sending grandkids to college.
All right, I'm shaking the magic 8 ball right now. You have your wish. What is the wish that you want to happen?
I wish the state would get more involved, especially Newcastle County. I can say in my heart of heart, Kent and Sussex County knows already. It's the people in Newcastle County that really don't know what's going on. And to answer your question, I've had several clergy call me because now they're ticked off what they see. And I tried to tell them, and I'm not gonna call their name because I don't want them to come back with some kind of retribution against them. But they're calling me, what can we do to help? I said, well, y'all need to let your people know what's going on here, because it don't affect, personally, it don't affect me because I'm 68. It affects all these young people that I'm trying to help to stay out of trouble and stay off the streets of Wilmington.
I thought you were 45.
Nah, I wish I was. But that's what I'm trying to do. Help these young kids, like the senator said earlier, might have slipped up in their life, change their life around. And I tell kids all the time, well, I call them kids, young people all the time, hey, come to the port, black, white, or brown. I don't care what color you are. Come, we will take care of you. We'll make sure you, as long as you leave the drugs alone and can come to work on a regular basis and do what we ask you to do, you're gonna be fine.
Senator Townsend.
Yeah, I get 8 ball too.
Your 8 ball, yeah.
Yeah, it would be, let's just get on the same page here. You know, if the governor wants to run a process having to do with looking at, trying to understand, come up to speed real quick, to understand the history of the project, the public transparency of the project, kind of where it's come from and where it's ready to go the minute that our Army Corps issues permits. That's what we need to get on the same page.
Would you like to do that here on the agenda? Would you be willing to have Governor Meyer come here and have that discussion?
Yes, I would love to sit down and talk to him.
Certainly.
Well, I would love to be able to make that happen. I think constituents at home need to want to make that happen because the money is going into all of our pockets if, in fact, we can make that happen. I am one of my big things, and go back to the tapes, when we were going through the election cycle back in November, even back when I was hosting the debates for governor in August and July and May, was economic development for this state. We can, and don't get me wrong, I love Amazon. Thank you for giving me my stuff the same day. I think that's amazing, absolutely amazing, and way to go. But we need something more than Amazon. We grew up, and you and I are of the same ilk, the same generation. We grew up in Newcastle County. You had a Chrysler and a GM 20 miles from each other. And then you had DuPont.
Yes.
And then you had MBNA and all those, like what other place was like that?
We were blessed, right?
We were blessed.
I mean, I think in so many ways, the DuPont setting up shop 200 plus years ago on the river, kind of led to a lot of different things happening. And then the world changed and some of those things went away. A lot of those things went away. And we got to fight. We got to fight hard for every opportunity. Yeah. And it matters to Delaware. I mean, this isn't about politics and games. It matters to Delawareans. And when you have a chance, whatever your skill set is, to make, to grow and provide for your family and your community, you can't take that for granted. You got to want that as legislative leaders, as political leaders, and you got to want Delawareans to fight for it. So this is really about trying to get on the same page. Not in a hypothetical, but this opportunity is right here for us. We need the Army Corps to do their work and reissue the permits. We don't need the Army Corps saying, well, Delawareans can't get on the same page. Do they want this port? Do they not want the port? Right? No, we got to want the port. The moment is now. Been working hard for basically 13 years in this direction. And now let's get this done, cut the ribbon, can all work together on this.
And this is, I want to be honest with you, this is what we're going to remember as Delawareans next election cycle. Who can get this done?
You're right.
Who's cutting that ribbon? Why is it 4 governors later and we're just getting it done? So, I want this governor, I want this senator, I want this leader to be the one to do that, to make that happen. So hope to God we can. Hope that we can. And I hope that you all stay tuned because we're going to have more information. We're going to have more shows coming for you. It's been an amazing season. We'd like to thank Senator Townsend, Mr. Ashe, for coming on board today. It's been a great information. I know that I'm smarter by listening to this, and I got a better idea of what's going on. We've put a challenge out to the governor's office. We've put a challenge out to all of you to ensure that your needs and your wants stay on the agenda. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.